One of the sisters asked me, she said, I want my child to grow up tough. That's why when he falls down, I like to tell him to get up, that you're stronger than that, and to just move on. And she asked me, is this against empathy? Does it go against empathy if we want them to be stronger and not cry over every little thing? So I told her, this is not against empathy at all. To want your child to be rough and tough and to not care for the small bumps and bruises. So those physical pains, it is okay to let our children think of it as no big deal and toughen up a little bit. But the key is to not do it in a dismissive way. So we don't say to our children, oh, it's nothing. You were crying over such a little tiny thing. Oh, come on, everybody's looking. They will say you're such a baby. Things like that are a big no-no. Because this is dismissive. It wouldn't help them get over the pain. It would just make them feel that you don't believe they're in pain. So they would make even a bigger fuss trying to convince you it's actually a big pain that they're feeling, that they got hurt in a big way. They would try to exaggerate it, so then they can get the validation they want. Here is what you can say instead. Oh yes, you did get hurt. I could see some blood. Oh, I could see a scrape here. I know it hurts, but my child is stronger than the pain. Isn't that right? I remember the other day when you got hurt, you picked yourself right up and kept going. That was so tough. Should we try that again? So something like this is perfectly okay to say to your child. Now that is for the physical pain. But what if my child felt an emotional pain? Should I then also try to get him over it in an empathetic way? Should I tell him that you're stronger than the pain? That is nothing. No. For the emotional pain, you need to let it run its course. And the more you stay with it, and the more you let it run its course, the lesser impact it has on your child. The easier it will be for your child to move on. We don't want your child to learn to bottle up their emotions because it's not good for the body. So the best and the fastest way to get rid of emotional pain is to help them process it. And how do you process an emotional pain? Let me tell you by an example. The other day, my son wanted to play with his father, and his father was eating food. And my son didn't realize, and he kept asking his father to play with him. And to that, his father made an annoyed face. Now, when my son noticed the annoyed face, his feelings got really hurt. He felt rejected, right? He felt like his dad didn't want to play with him. So he started crying, started bawling his eyes out. So I quickly hugged him and I let him cry as much as he wanted. And I asked him what happened. And the first time he would try to tell me, he couldn't even complete one sentence. And he started crying. And then he tried again. And then tried again. And every time he wanted to say it, he wouldn't be able to complete his thought because of how much it was hurting and how much he wanted to cry. So I let him cry and let him be with it. And I didn't try to hurry the process. So after like maybe 5 minutes, he gathered up enough courage to tell me, I thought Baba wanted to play with me, but he didn't want to play with me. I thought he was not eating, but he was actually eating. He was telling me in his own words that he felt rejected, that his father didn't want to play with him. And he felt like he made his father upset. And he didn't want to do that. And so it made him really sad to see his father upset. So I repeated it back to him. You thought your Baba was done eating, so you wanted him to play with you. And you didn't know that he was still eating. And when he made that annoyed face, it made you feel like you hurt him. And that hurt you a lot, didn't it? And he said, yeah, and he started crying. But by the 7th or 10th repetition, he was completely over it. Then I would tell him the whole thing. This is what happened. Your Baba didn't want to play with you. And he made an annoyed face. And by the 10th repetition, he was like, nonchalantly, yeah, this is what happened. And at that point, I knew that he had completely processed it. And he's over it. Now, this emotion has lost its power on him. بإذن الله.